Elena placed her wedding ring beside Marcus's laptop, as if she were setting down a receipt for something she no longer wanted. Marcus looked at the ring, then at the proposal glowing on the screen in front of him. 43 pages of diagrams, projections, and promises no one had agreed to believe in yet. Across the room, Elena stood with her arms folded. Her coat was already on. Her keys were already in her hand. I need more than this, Marcus. I need to feel like we're going somewhere. He had heard the sentence in smaller forms for years, in the sigh she gave when his car hesitated before starting, in the way she looked around their modest living room after visiting friends with newer furniture, in every silence that followed the words, "Just give me a little more time." Marcus closed the laptop halfway. "I've been going somewhere. You just never asked what it looked like. That's the problem. I shouldn't have to ask." She saw the old couch, stack of mail, the kitchen light Marcus kept saying he would replace. She did not see the calls he took before sunrise in his parked car, so he would not wake her. She did not see the nights he studied unfamiliar code after she fell asleep. She did not see the spreadsheet where he had mapped every dollar they would need to survive the first year. What Elena saw was a man with a regular job, an aging sedan, and another idea. "I'm not waiting anymore for you to become someone." The front door closed with a soft click. Marcus sat alone beside the ring. For a while, he did nothing. Then he opened the laptop and returned to the proposal. The marriage ended quietly after that. At the attorney's office, Elena signed each page quickly. Marcus read every paragraph before adding his name. She told him he could keep the desk. He told her she could keep the house. He packed one cardboard box from the room where he had spent 2 years building something she had stopped asking about. Books, a coffee mug, his laptop, a framed wedding photograph. He studied the picture before placing it face down on the desk. Then he carried the box past Elena and left. His new apartment had one bedroom, one folding chair, and a mattress still wrapped in plastic. The desk faced a parking lot whose lights flickered whenever it rained. His checking account was shrinking. His name was on 2 overdue notices. Every weekday morning, he reported to an operations cubicle and solved problems for a company that would never know what he was trying to build at night. His manager, Brent, leaned against the cubicle wall one afternoon and glanced at the diagrams beside Marcus's keyboard. "Still working on that side project?" "Still working on it." "You ever think maybe the market is trying to tell you something?" Marcus looked at the diagrams, then back at Brent. "Every day. Most people only notice the result. They never see the years of quiet that make the result possible." Marcus gave his 117th sales demonstration from the folding chair in his apartment. The prospect listened for 23 minutes, asked 3 questions, and ended the call with the sentence Marcus knew too well. "Interesting idea. Will keep you in mind." The screen went dark. Marcus opened his notebook and wrote a small number beside the company's name. No. His phone rang. Andre, his oldest friend, asked whether he had eaten. Marcus looked at the untouched turkey sandwich beside the keyboard. I'm eating now. You're lying now. Andre gave him a motivational speech so bad Marcus finally laughed. It was the first time he had laughed in days. Across town, Elena sat in an expensive restaurant with David Carter, a polished executive who spoke confidently about lenders, acquisitions, and people whose names seemed to open doors. You deserve someone who's already where he wants to be. Elena smiled. David reached across the table. For a moment, her eyes drifted toward the window, where her own reflection stared back at her. At 4:30 the next morning, Marcus poured coffee and opened the laptop again. Packages came back unopened. Prospects stopped answering. A payment failed. His savings fell low enough that he sold his newer car and bought an older sedan that pulled slightly to the right. He did not celebrate sacrifice. He simply adjusted the plan. The whiteboard filled with diagrams. Winter became spring outside the apartment window. Then spring became summer. One Tuesday, a manufacturing owner named Samuel Price agreed to meet him. Samuel spread shipping orders across a scarred desk. 5 systems were producing 5 different answers. Employees were correcting inventory by hand. Orders were late. Everyone blamed everyone else. Marcus listened for nearly an hour before speaking. Your employees aren't failing the system. The system is failing your employees. Samuel studied him. Can you fix it? Give me 6 weeks. They shook hands. Marcus worked from his car during lunch and from his apartment until morning. He mapped warehouse movement, rewrote reporting rules, and connected information that had lived in separate systems for years. 6 weeks later, Samuel approved the invoice, $25,000. Marcus stared at the payment for a long time. He did not buy a watch. He did not upgrade the apartment. He paid the overdue bills, hired a freelance developer, and set aside enough money to keep going. That night, he closed the laptop and slept without setting an alarm. The call that changed Marcus's life came during a thunderstorm just before midnight. Samuel's inventory system had frozen. Morning shipments were already staged. If the data was gone, the plant would lose more money in one day than Marcus had earned in the previous year. Tell me the truth. Did we lose it? No. The data is there. I just have to reach it. At 2:15 in the morning, Marcus was still working. At 4:39, his right hand trembled around the mouse. At 6:02, the dashboard turned green. Across town, production lines began moving again. Printers came alive, shipping labels rolled out. Employees who had arrived expecting chaos found their work waiting in the right order. Samuel called him from the plant floor. Why did you stay up all night? You could have told me it had to wait. Marcus looked at the empty coffee cups, the notes scattered around him, and the morning light entering his small apartment. "My name is on the system." Samuel was quiet for a moment. "Send me proposals for the other 2 facilities." When the call ended, Marcus lowered his head and cried. Not because he had won, because after years of telling himself the foundation mattered, someone had finally trusted what stood on top of it. 3 months later, Marcus placed a resignation letter on Brent's desk. "You have 7 clients. 7. 2 of them could leave next quarter." "That's true. Then why would you walk away from a guaranteed paycheck?" "Because guaranteed isn't the same as safe. Sometimes it just means the risk belongs to somebody else." He carried the same cardboard box out of the building that he had carried out of his marriage. But this time, it did not feel like a man being removed from his life. It felt like a man choosing it. The first Reed Systems office had 3 desks, a printer that jammed every morning, and an air conditioner that rattled through conference calls. Marcus answered support tickets, reviewed code, fixed the printer, and swept the floor when everyone else went home. 3 employees became 6, 6 became 11. A regional manufacturer signed a multi-year agreement. The company moved into an office with natural light and enough room for people to think. Marcus remained quiet. When a young analyst froze during a meeting, he did not embarrass him in front of the room. He pulled up a chair and asked one question. "Show me where it stopped making sense." People listened when Marcus spoke, not because he demanded attention, but because he had learned how to carry responsibility without making everyone else feel its weight. 18 months after the divorce, Elena saw his name in an industry article while sitting alone in a coffee shop. The headline announced a regional partnership. Beneath it was a photograph of Marcus standing with his team. He looked almost exactly as he had before. Calm, focused, understated. A former colleague had commented beneath the article, "The quietest man in the room built the smartest company in the region." Elena closed the laptop. Memory is cruel when it returns with evidence. Elena remembered Marcus showing her an early prototype at the kitchen table. She had been scrolling through her phone when he explained it. If this works, a small plant could see every problem before it reaches shipping. "That's nice," she remembered saying it without looking up. David's life had once seemed like movement. The condo, the dinners, the language of deals. But confidence became performance when lenders stopped calling back and money he had counted on failed to arrive. One evening, Elena watched him pace the living room, blaming partners, timing, and people who had not recognized his value. You don't want to build anything. You want people to watch you winning. And Marcus didn't? No, that was the difference. She picked up her purse. "This place is beautiful, David, but it has never felt like home." Weeks later, Marcus's phone buzzed in his office. "Hey, saw the news. Congratulations. You should be proud." Marcus typed the reply he had imagined for nearly 2 years. A paragraph about loyalty, another about timing, one sentence designed to make her feel exactly as small as he had felt the night she left. Then he deleted all of it. Thank you. Elena read the 2 words alone in her apartment. That night, she scrolled through old messages from their marriage. Buried between grocery lists and work schedules was a text Marcus had sent after an early presentation. Presentation went well. They asked for a second meeting. Her answer had been one word: okay. At Reed Systems, Andre arrived after hours carrying 2 turkey sandwiches. I figured success still forgets to eat. He looked around the office at the glass conference room, the team photographs, and the city lights beyond the windows. You did it, man. We did enough to earn more work. That is the most Marcus answer possible. Andre handed him a sandwich. Elena contact you? Marcus looked down at the wrapper. She sent a message. And how did that feel? I don't know. You don't know, or you're too busy to know. Marcus looked across the empty office. You healed, or you just working longer than the pain can stay awake? For the next several days, the question followed him. Into meetings, into traffic, into the apartment he still kept more modest than he could afford. Then Elena sent another message. I owe you an apology without asking you for anything. If you're willing, I'd like to talk once. Marcus stood by the window and remembered every speech he had imagined giving her. In all of them, she regretted leaving. In all of them, he finally won. But standing there, he understood that revenge was only another way of asking her to confirm his value. He picked up the phone. Thursday, 7 o'clock, 1 drink. The bar was quiet, neutral, and dim enough that neither of them had to pretend the meeting was casual. Elena waited at a back table. Marcus entered wearing a simple charcoal shirt. They did not hug. For a moment, they were 2 people studying the distance between who they had been and who they had become. I didn't know you were building all of that. I know. I knew you were working. I didn't understand what it was becoming. I showed you the meetings, the prototypes, the projections. I thought it was another idea. Marcus let the words sit between them. It was an idea. Then it became nights, rejections, corrections. It became selling my car and answering calls nobody else wanted. That's how ideas become something, quietly until people can point at the result. I was scared we were going to stay small forever. Wanting more wasn't wrong. Making me feel like I was less because you couldn't see it, that was wrong. Elena lowered her eyes. I'm sorry. I believe you. There was no punishment in his voice. There was also no invitation. Marcus leaned back slightly. I wasn't blameless. I thought working harder was the same as communicating. Every time you got frustrated, I disappeared into the work even longer. I told myself I was doing it for us, but I stopped making room for us to understand each other. Could we have saved it? Marcus looked at her for a long time. Maybe then. And now we know things we had to lose each other to learn. Elena wrapped both hands around her glass. David is gone. I'm sorry it didn't work out. Are you? I don't want you hurt. That doesn't mean I'm asking you back. She nodded slowly. Did you hate me? For a while. Then I realized I was still building my life around your decision. Every new client was evidence. Every good month was an argument I wanted to win. I had to stop making you the audience. I regret it, Marcus. I still love you. Her composure cracked, not dramatically, but honestly. Marcus looked at the woman he had once expected to grow old beside. He did not hate her. That was the mercy. He no longer needed her. That was the consequence. I know you care, but caring isn't the same as seeing. Belief offered after the proof is different from belief when all someone has is the foundation. You were always this man, weren't you? I was always trying to be. The difference is, now I know how to stand without being witnessed. Elena looked at him and finally understood. Marcus had not transformed into a bigger man after she left. He had stopped asking other people to measure him. Marcus placed money on the table and stood. I'm glad you're doing okay, Elena. I mean that. I'm proud of you. Marcus paused. Thank you. Then he left. He walked alone beneath the streetlights with his hands in his pockets. There was no victory in his stride, no satisfaction in the empty chair he had left behind. Only peace. At home, Marcus opened the drawer where he kept the old wedding photograph. He studied it for a moment, not with longing, not with anger, with gratitude for two people who had loved each other before they knew how much love also required them to see. He returned the photograph to the drawer and sat at his desk. A new proposal waited on the screen. Marcus began typing. Some people only measure the height of a thing once it is already standing. They praise the walls, admire the view, and call the finished structure greatness. But greatness does not begin where people can see it. It begins below the surface, in choices no one applauds, in discipline no one photographs, and in work that may look small to anyone who has never learned to recognize a foundation. Marcus stopped waiting for anyone else to notice his.
And while Iron and Grace speaks especially to men, make no mistake, these stories are for everyone. You'll meet characters from different backgrounds, cultures, and walks of life, because struggle belongs to no one group, and neither does strength. If these stories speak to you, welcome to Iron and Grace.